Even when we
What's up?
screw up, we do it right. That's the
Oh,
takeaway lesson for today, ladies and
such
gentlemen.
professionals.
Absolutely. Josh and I were talking before the show, and I realized, oh, it's time to go live, and I hit the live button, and we almost went live without me having the bumper plugged in there. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, that would have been just people would have known what rank amateurs we are, Josh,
I know,
had that
right?
had that happened. So we had a
Yeah.
lot of really great views and comments on yesterday's show with my good friend Jeff Paulus. What was cool was a number of people, reached out to me and are like, "Oh yeah, I know Jeff. I met him at your group. I've seen him at your group, and that type of thing." And so that was kind of cool. For those of you that are new to joining us, this is the Build and Grow with Real Estate show. My name is Judah Hoover. This is my co-host Josh over here, and we are coming to you from the Real Estate Hackers Network, as well as the Central PA Hard Money Bankers of Central PA. I always say that backwards, but I'm a legit diagnosed dyslexic, so I'm allowed to say it backwards.
Exactly.
Um,
Nobody's watching right this moment anyway. It
exactly.
takes 2 minutes to warm up.
Right, but actually, I mean, I don't know, man. We get 3 to 5 times the number of views later on in the day than what we do live. So that's always pretty awesome. So today's show is our news wrap-up show. Monday through Wednesday, we talk about content, and this week we talked about how to choose a good agent, how to recognize a good agent when you see one, and how to list your house and get it sold for top dollar.
Yep.
Then we had a guest on yesterday, which is what we do on Thursdays. Could not believe it was Thursday yesterday. And
I
we
know.
talked about subject two. Jeff Paulus does a whole lot of subject twos. Today, we are going to do our news wrap up. And we just kind of talk about, what's going on and what's happening with the news. But before we do that, Josh, who the heck are you?
Oh yeah, my name's Josh Weidman. You got a reverb here? Or is this good?
I got no reverb on
Okay,
you. You're good.
great. Yeah, my name's Josh Weidman with Hard Money Bankers. We are a local lender right here in central Pennsylvania. We lend in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Northern Virginia, and DC. If you have a investment project that you're looking to have funded, give me a call. You can give me a ring today. Shoot me an email, 717-213-8488, or check us out online at hardmoneybankers.com.
And my name is Judah Hoover. I am with Slate House Group, and I want to be your realtor. I have been in the real estate game for about 20 years. I owned a mortgage company. I did commercial loans, residential loans, hard money loans. I've been a house flipper. I have been an executive at a property management company, a title that I still hold, and basically an all-around friend and good dude. I will humbly say there are not many people in central Pennsylvania who have participated in more real estate transactions than I have. And I really bring that knowledge and information to bear when it comes to putting together deals for you. So give me a call. Let's talk, 717-766-7994. Be it a primary residence or an investment property. If you want to buy, if you want to sell, or do anything else, I definitely want to talk to you. Now, Josh, you said there during your intro that you are a hard money lender right here in central Pennsylvania. Are you in central Pennsylvania, Josh?
Well, I'm not. I'm not in central Pennsylvania. I'm on vacation this week, so I'm just coming in. I'm dialing in through my cell phone here, and Judah is at the helm. So if there's any technical glitches, it's not on me this week.
Right. No, it is 100% my fault. So
That's right.
let's dive into the news of the day. And Josh, I have been so busy, last night and this morning putting together CMAs for people for some listing appointments that I have coming up this weekend.
Yep.
That I have been so busy doing that like the past 24 hours, I haven't read as much news as what I would like. So I'm very glad that you've put that together. But one thing that I will say that I noticed
Yep.
about just doing, more CMAs, it just was very apparent in some of today's research. Obviously, we've been talking about how days on market is very much shrinking. Values are
Yep.
going up, blah, 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 blah. dude, I was looking at one segment of comps for a property, 73 houses I pulled, and was kind of sifting and sorting this data. And like days on market was 2 days, 5 days,
Yep.
7 days. And that's where like 50% of it was. And then there was like another chunk of like 10 to 15% at like 15 days. And then the other like 30 or 40% was, 30 days and 30 days plus.
Yep.
There is so much activity happening in 2 to 7 days or days on market. It is just absolutely crazy right now. So if you're not, getting your house sold extremely quickly, you probably have it priced wrong. Is my take.
Well, so this is something that I was thinking about when we discussed this, right before jumping on the air, right? Two things came up. Number one, this idea of the coming soon listing.
Right.
That's something relatively new in this market. So
It's always kind
that's
of been around, but it's like become a very popular thing. You know what I
right.
mean? You see it utilized a whole lot more the past 4 to 5 months than I think
Right.
we've really seen it before.
Well, and then my other question is, what is the appropriate number of days on market? Because look, I know that when I first flipped my first house, I started panicking after a week, not having offers, and talking to, an experienced friend of mine. He said, look, don't even look at anything that's not very close to asking for the first 30 days, but price it right. So like, I guess, and we're in a different marketplace at this point. You know what I mean? And at this point in the cycle where there's the demand way outweighs the supply.
We're also at a different place in society now too, right? Like I want to be able to go into my phone and say at the grocery store, I want to buy that, and that, ship it to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? We want to be able
Right.
to go to Wayfair and just scroll through couches and see what we want to buy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we as consumers expect to be able to buy very quickly. So we also be able to sell very quickly. Whenever I'm thinking about a book, I used to be like, oh, I got to remember, when can I find time to go to Borders this weekend because I want to buy, Crime and Punishment, or I want to buy Moby Dick, or I want to buy, this or that book. And I was just last night rented Three Kings, classic 1999 movie with George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg. It is
Yep.
hilarious if you haven't seen it, and it's always been one of my favorite. Ice-T as well, or is it Ice Cube? I forget which one it is. So, but the thing is like, what would we have had to do 10 years ago? We would have had to go to the video rental store, look for that, hopefully find it, rent it, blah, 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 go from there. Now, what do? Now we just say, oh, okay, great. I'm going to see if I can rent it on Amazon Prime, or I can rent it here and just, digitally watch it very quick. So I think that the same thing is happening in the, sorry, man, this got way down a rabbit hole that I didn't even intend to.
No. I totally get it. And you're probably right. You're probably right, and that's why Amazon and Redfin and a lot of these other guys and Zillow are have started implementing those type of programs to really quickly list and sell.
Yeah,
or
people
just
want to get in and
sell.
out of the market, whatever it is that they're doing, and go on from there. So, what other bad news on the unemployment front?
Well, yeah. So let's talk about that. Housing seems to be like this bright point in the housing or in the economy right now.
The economy, right?
There are signs of some rallies in different areas, but what we're really seeing is housing is really in demand and the supply is very, very low. We have ridiculously low interest rates, and if all that continues, prices are just going to keep going up. I mean, but the question is, how long does that continue?
Right.
And this leads into unemployment. So look, I was reading an article earlier this week about the 5 reasons why housing is not going to crash. Right. One of their major points was that that the loss in, or like unemployment and those kind of things were affecting the lower portion of the economic ladder much more than the upper echelon, right? And then they broke it down.
You're saying like people who make $50,000 a year or less, a greater percentage of those people lost money than people who make $50,000 or more.
Right, exactly. So it's the think about it like this. It's the percentage of households that have lost income within certain economic breakdowns. So one of them was 0 to 35,000 a year, and this is the household income. This isn't one individual, and maybe it is, but that's in the household. 55 to 60% of that population has lost money, from the downturn. The next strata is 35,000 to 75,000, and that's between 50 and 52%. Okay, so a smaller percentage. Now, anything over 75,000, only 40% of households were affected.
So people making 75 beans a year or more.
Yep.
40% of those households have lost income. Just 40%.
Exactly. It's a minority, but not by much, right? I mean, it is a huge minority. And so you're talking about that large percentage of the population affected by the economy, either lost revenue or bonuses or actual employment because of the shutdowns. We're talking about a ridiculously high number of households across the country.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, but I mean, I know somebody who was just telling me the other day that they are, by mid-August, they're going to be at 93K, and they're down, from what they would have made. So, are they down $5,000 or $10,000? Are they down 3 or 5% from what they were, going to make? It's hard to say.
But it's something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Look,
But are they losing enough that they're actually hurting? They've lost a lot of money, but they also didn't go driving for 3 months. You know what I mean? If their gas budget goes down by $3,000 and their income goes down by $2,000, they have a net increase.
Oh my goodness. You are just painting. You're painting. Putting fairy dust on that.
I'm not saying that that's what. I'm not saying that that's what is happening. I'm saying until you consider what the numbers do say, you have to very carefully consider what the numbers don't say. And the numbers say loss of income. The numbers do not say a painful loss of income, a significant loss of income, or a loss of income that exceeds what everybody's spending is down by.
If we're just examining those numbers, I'll give that to you. Here's the big problem. We're in week 18 of new unemployment claims exceeding 1 million people.
Right.
In addition to that, this is the first week in the last 16 where there's been an increase. Right. So we've steadily been getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, last week was 1.3 million. This week it's 1.4. Continued claims they dropped to 16.2 million. So, I mean, that's relatively good. I mean, that's about the bright spot.
Continuing claims are down. That's good. I mean, we're going to see some, bumps and ups and downs and stuff like that. We saw a little bit of an uptick in new claims. We saw a little bit of an uptick in new claims, and that's partly because of some states are kind of shutting down again.
Right. Well, yeah, and we're running into a situation where people are going to have less disposable income. So let's say that for the last 3 months, somebody got laid off in the beginning of March.
Right.
They get their unemployment plus $600 a week. March, April, May, June. Now this supplement's going to disappear.
Right.
And it's unlikely that they went out and bought, investments that increased in value as the economy, the economy changed with their money. It probably got spent on discretionary spending.
Right.
I would venture to guess, right? So
Yep.
you got that discretionary spending that's going to disappear. You've got all the other, shutdowns and things like that. I'm very much concerned about, what this unemployment, on top of the evictions and on top of, that we talked about last week, coming evictions and their ripple effect on, on the existing housing stock. And
Well, and to your point, so I was saying, I think I even mentioned this like way early on in our shows that like I could not wait till lockdowns were over so I could go buy 2 new pair of khakis, right?
right, right,
And I talked about that a lot. Well, guess what? This past weekend, I went out and I not only bought 2 new pair of khakis, but I got the shirt that you're wearing right now. I got the
oh
shoes
yeah,
and the nice jeans I'm wearing. So like, I actually was so eager to go shopping. I overspent and I spent about $400 on clothes, and everything's on such a discount right now that I honestly feel like I got almost $600 to $800 worth of clothes. But guess what? Like, I'm done shopping now for another 3 to 4 months of clothes. You know what I
right,
mean? Like, I'm
right,
not, and it's not because of financial insecurity or any, or pullback in income. It's just like I had pent up demand for shopping for clothes. I then overspent by a little bit, but so that is going to be economic activity that's registered right now that then is going to go away.
right, exactly. Um, so that, I mean, that's just my hedge against the rest of this conversation, because
Right.
the housing news is fantastic.
Right.
Home sales are up 20.7% through June, and that's month over month.
Right. So
And
in June, we sold 20% more homes than we did
in
in
May,
May. So if
right?
in May we sold 100 homes in a nation, in June we sold 120 homes. So that's
Yeah,
good. It's still under, it's still below pre-pandemic numbers, but it's showing an increase in home sales.
well,
And,
and
and a
one,
20% increase is nothing to sneeze at, but also May's numbers were extremely deflated.
yeah, I mean, we're not off. We're not off by much. Excuse me, year over year numbers for June.
Correct. Yep.
Right. So,
Still down.
exactly. There's some really interesting stats that go along with these numbers from June, that I really wanted to look up. So they kind of show where the demand is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not just the pent up demand and low inventory that we had in February, right? What we're finding more and more is that millennials seem to be entering the marketplace.
Who knew?
I know, exactly. And
I always said that. People always said, "Oh, millennials aren't buying. Millennials aren't buying." I said, "Give them time." I mean, human nature is human nature.
exactly. And so there was some assumptions made about millennials living in cities and renting forever and this and that and the other thing. That doesn't turn out to be true. And with a lot of the white collar jobs in that demographic becoming much more remote, people are spreading out from urban environments, and excuse me, 86% of the sales in June were in urban and rural and suburban neighborhoods.
86%.
Yeah, of that 20, like that's a huge number, huge. 40% or 35% were to first-time home buyers.
So of the home buying that happened, 35% of that was first-time home buyers.
Yeah, I mean, and what I think is crazy, that is the demographic that you would think that would be most affected,
right,
by this downturn for the buying market, and it's still making up 35% of the volume. That's pretty great.
They would number one be the most affected by. They would be the most affected by the downturn. They would be the most affected by the jump in prices we've seen. They would
Yeah,
also be the most skittish of price pullback. You know what I mean? I don't want to buy today if there might be a 10 or 15% price reduction next year. So seasoned pros like you and me, Josh, I don't care about a pullback or a potential pullback in the future because I just know that all I'm gonna do is buy more houses at that point. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But first time home buyers and first time investors and newbies in any of those segments are very much more likely to put off. So I almost wonder how much they wouldn't be. But I guess the takeaway here is also that is being buoyed by how ridiculously low um, the interest rates are.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. The interest rates absolutely play into that. I mean, it's almost a footnote at this point. Every week, it's like, oh yeah, we have historically low interest rates again this week.
Right.
The applications are up 19% in June, year over year, so
Right.
90% higher. And I think we mentioned that in a prior show. But the one thing that I find really interesting about this 35% first time home buyer area is that either these first time home buyers delayed buying and as a result are much more qualified, or some of the news that we've heard about banks becoming more strict on their lending criteria hasn't had as much of an impact as we thought it would.
No, I don't think banks have gotten much more. I mean, banks to me have basically been the same in what their lending criteria is since the
Yeah.
disappearance of subprime.
Right.
Since the
Right.
disappearance of subprime, it's been vanilla bean, French vanilla, old style vanilla. Like these are the types of loans that are out there. You're either
Right.
qualified or you're not qualified. And maybe there's been some shifting and stuff like that, but maybe that's just because I grew up in the days where lending criteria was going like this, and then from like 2009 to 2013 it was all over the place, up one
Yeah.
minute, down the next, and there was all kinds of stuff. So I think lending criteria since 2015 has been extremely stable.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I say. And there might have been a small fluctuation here and there, but even as the big banks announce, hey, we're going to require 20% down, we're going to require this, require that. A lot of times when it comes down to it, you know, maybe these lending institutions weren't such a huge part of the whole mortgage pie to begin with. They just
Right.
are a big name that people recognize, and so they get a byline on a story. You know,
Right. I think the thing that also everyone forgets is sometimes when they're like, "Oh, we're requiring 20% down now." We're absolutely requiring 20% down now. And if you don't put 20% down, we'll do an eighth bump to your interest rate.
right,
Okay, that doesn't mean you're requiring 20% down. That just
right,
means you're changing your pricing. You know what I
right.
mean? There's a lot of that
Yeah,
that goes in. There's a lot of that that goes into things too. So I
right.
would say, by and large, because of people putting off purchasing, they have better high paying jobs, they
Yeah,
have greater discretionary income, and they have more money saved. I've been doing mortgages and credit for a long, long time, and I see more people purchasing and more people, with more just cash sitting in banks
yep.
than what I've seen, a lot of. So next news story here, my friend.
All right. So let's talk about the bailouts. There's
Yeah,
a new bailout package coming through
being
Congress
discussed.
and the Senate.
Right,
Right. Um, there's not. We haven't heard a lot from the Democrats on this.
right.
I mean, they're proposing the continuation of the $600 unemployment supplement. Um, there's been some other thoughts bantered around regarding, a bailout for landlords and tenants
Right.
on evictions with a lot of strings attached. On the Republican side, they're proposing another $1,200 check for 70,000 people making 75,000 a
Also,
year
a
or
cut to
less.
payroll taxes. They're talking about,
Yes,
a cut to payroll taxes, which, one of the things that Republicans get beat up a lot for is they say, let's cut taxes across the board. And they're like, oh, well, it's, a tax cut for the wealthy. Well, when, the top When the
Right.
top 10% pays 50% of the taxes, it's hard to meaningfully cut taxes without disproportionately. So the thought process is if we do a payroll tax cut,
Yep.
and by we, I mean them, that would be an impact there. And the Democrats definitely want to continue the $600 a month. Unfortunately, a lot of this bailout is affecting COVID, and COVID is becoming more and more political all the time. And I have, well, Josh, I have some conspiratorial theories, thoughts for you that I am not even comfortable sharing on the air. That we're going to
Oh,
talk
tell me.
about. We're going to talk about after the show. So
Oh,
I
okay.
just think here's the thing. I think that there's a lot more people who are being more concerned about COVID than what they would be if they weren't getting unemployment plus a $600 check from the government. And I think that there's a lot of people out there who if they weren't getting a $600 bonus, would say, you know what? Actually, 92 or 82% of the people who have died from this are over the age of 65. This doesn't actually seem like that big of a deal. Please, 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 let's open back up.
Awesome. I think we should give away an award to the biggest nut on our show. Every day, you and I can debate over who says the thing that is going to get us ultimately thrown off TV.
Yeah. Like Dr. Fauci not wearing a mask as he's sitting in between two people.
Oh my gosh.
I had to look up 3 different versions of that story before I believed that it wasn't photoshopped. Like,
Listen,
how can that guy go into public and not believe that he is that he's going to have 1,000 cameras on him, and that I mean, if I was him, I would like tape the mask to my face so that there could be no doubt that it would slip off or come off because of the political ramifications and the political fallout. So, but baseball's back. That's good news.
well, I mean, I thought we were staying on the conspiracy theory side.
Yeah.
Apparently, all of those UFO shows and ancient aliens and all that kind of stuff, it's all true. The U.S. The Air Force announced that it's going to be releasing more videos, more declassified videos of unidentified flying objects
Right.
with airplanes. I mean, it would be a heck of a thing if there was a moment of disclosure before the end of this political season. You know,
Yes.
I mean, to just put the cherry on the top, we've got riots and protests. We've
Right.
got a world pandemic. The government is printing money as fast as the digital sequences can pop it out, right? Like,
that's great. As fast as the digital sequencers can pop it out. That's wonderful.
right. And
Because
we're
now that's
just
how they
stuck
print
in our
money.
cars.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And now we're stuck in our houses and our cars with no restaurants or bars.
All right, I know
it's
remotely
hilarious.
you can't see. I know remotely you can't see comments unless I do this. So talk to me. Judah definitely says all the cancelable stuff.
That's right. Exactly. I love it. I love it.
Not believe that for a second.
Oh man. And
So
listen, Jonah, Bigfoot's real, by the way. Bigfoot
you
is a
do
100% real.
Jonna says, what? Josh, I got to tell you, man, you're crazy, dude. You think that there is actually a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, whatever, living in the
You
woods
don't
of
even
North
know
America?
an unidentified bear-like creature? Yeah, that is terribly reasonable. I mean, very, very reasonable.
Bipedal that walks on its hind legs.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so since the advent of cell phones, and we're all walking around with cameras in our back pockets all the time, and all in the woods all the time. I mean, in the 50s and 60s, when cameras were rare, it was like hard to get pictures. But all these people in the woods all the time, all these hikers, all these backpackers, nothing.
There are things that we know exist that you have never seen.
Okay.
That we know for a fact, that we don't have photos of. We even know where they are, but we can't get photos of them because it's too far down in the water. Or, until a certain technology comes around. Look, we in the rainforest, there's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff we know nothing about.
Okay, the rainforest is different. I get it. And the Amazon is huge, and the Russian steppes, and I mean,
You ever been up
stretch
to Canada and the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, yeah, I love backpacking. It's amazing how virgin it is, and people who think we're plowing the earth just have no clue. Exactly. Jeremy wants to know how we got here. How we got here is it's the last 5 minutes of the show on Friday, and we do news wrap up. We do news wrap up of the week, and they've lots of new UFO stories out there that
Well,
nobody's
listen.
talking about, because I think the pandemic was planned so that they could release these UFO stories
Oh my gosh.
and they would get no coverage.
Listen.
How's that for a Josh Weidman sized conspiracy?
Listen, this isn't even a conspiracy. I mean,
You
want to
think they
compare
planned the pandemic so that they could release
Of
the UFO
course
stories?
not.
Okay,
Of course not.
I was
It
trying
was-
to be sarcastic there.
It was to end all of the human sex trafficking. Did you follow this? Have you
Yes.
seen this
Yes.
stream too? You
Right.
know, like, oh my gosh. No, look, at the end of the day, none of the alien stuff that we talked about is any more outrageous than the protesting going on across the country.
Right.
The two faces of all of the politicians. I mean, they're so outrageous that we have them on camera saying two different things.
Yes.
It's like within a couple minutes of each other.
Yes.
It's just a mess. It's a mess. So why not talk about fun stuff, Jeremy? Come on.
Exactly.
Come on,
Especially
Jeremy.
Especially it's technically afternoon on Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
So we
Have a
are
drink.
in good shape. Listen, everybody, we are going to wrap this up and close this out. We will
Awesome.
be back with more great content next week.
Yep.
Josh will be coming to us again from his home studio. We are going to welcome him back to Pennsylvania from his undisclosed beach location.
That's
and,
right.
Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate everybody joining us. And
Thanks, guys.
As soon as
Like and share.
Yes, like and share. And we greatly, greatly appreciate our loyal fan base.